A candle in Château Noir. It was the winter of 1882 when Miss Evangeline Harrow arrived at Château Noir, a lonely fortress nestled among the dark hills of Provence. Built of ash-gray stone and standing sentinel over a once thriving vineyard, the castle had long since fallen silent. Its spires pierced the low clouds like black needles, and ivy strangled its towers with the slow persistence of time. They crossed themselves when Evangeline mentioned its name at the inn. Evangeline had come to catalogue the estate's crumbling library on behalf of the British Antiquarian Society. She was a scholar of rare books and forgotten histories, a woman more comfortable among vellum and ink than in society's glittering salons. Sunlight barely touched the stained glass, and even by day, the room was dim. The air carried the scent of ink, mildew, and something sweeter like Lille, long dead. The chateau's owner, the elusive Comte Lucien d'Aubrecourt, had vanished in 1863, leaving no heir and no explanation. For nearly 20 years, the place had stood untouched until a distant cousin opened it to scholars for restoration. The villagers spoke of the chateau in hushed tones. La Maison des Ombres, they whispered, the House of Shadows. The library was vast. Behind its massive oak doors lay a cold expanse of time-worn wood and high shelves coated in decades of dust. Rows of forgotten tomes loomed like sleeping sentinels. It cast a warm, golden glow that flickered slowly, as if breathing. A fire had once ravaged the west wing, and the scars remained: scorched beams, a section of collapsed ceiling, and a large iron candelabrum that had melted into a twisted mockery of its former elegance. On the first night, Evangeline set up her writing desk beside the hearth and began her inventory. Her reflection in the cracked mirror above the fireplace lingered a moment longer than it should. One morning, she woke to find her quill moved and ink still wet on the page. Her journal now read, "The Comte lit it on the night of his bride's death. It has never gone out." She did not light the candelabra. It was already lit. Each night, a single candle burned there, always the same, always untouched by wax strips or wick decay. Evangeline had lost someone too, years ago. A love swallowed by fever and silence. The chateau spoke to that grief. It knew her. It fed on it. She asked the caretaker, Monsieur Belland, about it. He paled. "Do not touch it," he said. "It is La Chandelle de Dule, the morning candle." "But that was nearly 20 years ago," she protested. His face was pale, obscured by a veil of black lace. He did not move. His hands hung at his sides. He did not reply. The candlelight grew bolder. By the 7th day, all 13 holders of the candelabrum burned. Evangeline began to feel watched. At first, it was subtle a shift in air when she climbed the stairs, the creak of a floorboard in a room she had not entered. "He still waits by the window. Do not open the shutters." She had not written that. She should have left. But something held her there: curiosity, yes, but also a strange melancholy that echoed her own. Moonlight filtered through shattered glass. And there, in the center of the room, stood a woman in a ruined wedding dress. He reached out not to Evangeline, but to the bride. She followed it, barefoot and shivering, to the scorched corridor. One night, unable to sleep, she descended to the library and found the candle had multiplied. Now 3 flames flickered on the candelabrum, though she had touched nothing. And across the room, standing in the shadow of the shelves, was a man in Victorian mourning garb. Evangeline whispered, "Comte Lucien?" The man bowed his head slightly. The castle had changed, restored, open to tourists, filled with light. She blinked, and he was gone. The days blurred. Voices echoed in the hall's soft French murmurs, weeping, the rustle of silk skirts. And with them came the cold. The west wing had been sealed since the fire. But on the 8th night, Evangeline awoke to the scent of smoke, not fresh, but old, embedded in the walls. The door opened without protest. Inside, the ruined ballroom slouched beneath a broken ceiling. Her face was untouched by time, young, pale, sorrowful, veil drifting as though underwater. The bride. She turned to Evangeline and opened her mouth, but no sound came. Only ash spilled from her lips. Behind her, the veiled man appeared once more. Their hands met, and then they vanished. Evangeline collapsed. She was found by Monsieur Belland the next morning, lying in the ashes of the ballroom with the wedding ring of the Comte's bride clutched in her palm. She left Château Noir that very day. Years later she returned, not as a scholar, but as a woman nearing the end of her days. But in the library, the old candelabrum remained, its candles unlit, and on the hearth sat a note, written in Evangeline's own youthful hand. The morning is ended. Let the light sleep. Thin,